Evening, folks. We are back once again, another Thursday. This new era quickly taking shape. The Dynamite review and nothing else as it's now advertised officially. It is Dynamite's final stop before Revolution. Much to discuss. An iconic moment with Sting, a big time Road to Trios match, all that and much, much more. Your favorite trio once again in the house. Charlie, you are soon to be on your way to Crockett Country, right?
I
To
sure will
Greensboro.
be.
Your new feature today. Very eventful time. How
Mhm.
are you this evening?
I am doing great. I am very, very excited. It's like, I feel like I've been talking about going to Revolution for like months now, and it's finally happening. I leave for my flight in literally like 8 hours. Like, I leave for my flight in 5 hours. The flight itself is in 8 hours. So I'm pumped up. I'm ready about it. And I did have a feature go out today, and it
Yes,
is about Sting. If you haven't read it yet, please do. I was quite proud of it. It was a special one for me.
absolutely.
Look at her, bro. She's just making the fucking towns for the podcast, making
Got
the
to do
towns
it.
for the
Got to
shows,
do it.
writing features for the love of the game.
I couldn't believe it. When the tweet went up earlier and Charlie was involved, I said, better than me, I would not be here. I would be
Yeah,
full night's sleep.
If I wasn't here,
I'll
I'd
tell
just be
Monty to fuck
watching it.
off.
Like,
Yeah, I respect it. You're a real pro, Charlie. As we've said, you're going for Wrestler of the Year this year, which,
mhm.
as long as you don't campaign too hard for it. I think I got a little carried away when I was doing the media round last year. It was a little much, but I think you're going to be safe with that. But nonetheless, Ayo, how are you this evening, mate?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Happy to be back with the trio. Even though we still have to give Monty a payout after these podcasts, Joe, me and you gotta talk about this afterwards. But
Yeah,
neither here nor there. Enjoyed Dynamite more so for the angles than particularly the wrestling last night, which is rare. But it was good. Solid go home show. Not the best, not the worst. Somewhere in the middle, but I thought it was an enjoyable show.
Yeah, I did too, and I think it's kind of, I think we're going to be repetitive with this here if it keeps going in this direction because I think once again it's one of those shows where it's like, in a vacuum, is it a 10? No, but it sure did continue to tick the boxes that we're looking for in terms of a pay per view build. Right, this was like really focused on Revolution. I think as we go through this, that will kind of become clear. But I guess first question: did the go home show do the intended trick of like you left it much more excited? Because I certainly did. Oh, I'm assuming you're the same.
So I clearly love AEW, right? But like,
I've
I'm
heard
not
that.
the
Yeah.
type of person that is like, oh my god, the pay per view is coming. I can't wait to the pay per view, the pay per view, the pay per view. But like for once, that's how I'm feeling, bro. Like, I can't wait until Revolution. There's a lot of things I'm looking forward to. The Bucks are fired up for this Sting match. They want it to be the best match of their career. Love Sting. Watch him like as a child, like everybody else, every other fucking wrestling fan under 50 has. Um, Fucking Swerve's gonna get crowned. I hope so. There's just a bunch of stuff that just for everybody. Will Ospreay versus Takeshita, bro. Like so, I'm fired up. I was not expecting to love that Ospreay Takeshita angle as much as I did last night. It makes me hopeful for the future of Ospreay and the Don Callis family. We'll get into that later. But yeah, man, I really like that go home show.
Yeah, I agree completely, and I think it's fair to say, Charlie, the go home. You and I have done enough of these to know that
Mm,
that isn't always their specialty, right? The go home
yeah.
TV.
No.
So, what did you make, Charlie, of kind of in particular, ramping up the excitement for Revolution this week? What did you think?
Yeah, the vibes on Dynamite, like for like as a go home show, like this is like one of the better ones they've done for sure. Like pretty much every big match had like a really good angle to like kind of solidify it. Like there's a couple they didn't do, like they kept like the Tony Diana one for Collision, which makes sense. Like there is another show still before
Mm.
Revolution, but yeah, no, I'm very, very excited about it. And like that closing angle at the end, like Flair involvement aside, like it's got me real pumped up for that tag match. And I didn't think I could be more excited for that. So it's going to be a great time. I think like the vibes they 100% nailed on this show.
I agree, and I think when we go segment by segment, there are some issues that we'll kind of navigate once they arrive. But definitely, this season, this kind of I guess like arc, this cycle of pay per view build, it's been very much about the broad strokes of the promotion, right? Like things are trending nicely, which allows you to overlook some of the kind of individual flaws. But that's very different to the AEW of the past. So it's an interesting time for sure. Okay. Before we get into the show itself, folks, as always, please do like the video, subscribe, and if you're feeling very generous and want to support Charlie's trip to Greensboro, where I'm told there are many things to do outside of
Yeah.
seeing professional wrestling. Please do send a super chat. Ayo, do we have any super chats thus far? Any early birds in that
Do
regard?
have a couple. Let's tap into those. WrestlePurists' own Ibrahim Niang, $2 super chat. We lost out on Tom. Shaking my fucking head. First of all, who is we,
Right.
bro?
I'm so upset.
Who is we?
I got to be honest. I'm kind of fascinated by what this looks like. 41-year-old Tamatonga in the WWF. But what is that? How do they use him? Where does he go? Main roster NXT? Like, it's a weird one to me. I don't know.
They've got
The
the choice
idea of
between
Tama-
a Bullet Club or Bloodline, apparently. That's what I'm seeing thrown about. So
Wow. Okay.
The idea
The
of
two
Tom on
biggest
any type of
factions.
wrestling TV, bro, like weekly TV,
Yeah.
kind of crazy to me. Like even if you
He-
like him, like he's not really doesn't really strike me as a TV act.
Yeah,
I
like,
think
have
that
no-
the WWE style of wrestling is really going to suit him, though. Like some of the matches he's had, I feel like that style of wrestling is going to play to his strengths at this point, to be honest.
Absolutely.
That's the thing. I think he's an interesting talent in there. It took him a long time to find like a role that was really sustainable in New Japan. He was there for a really long time before it felt like he
Yeah.
was doing anything like positive, really. Guerrillas of Destiny, I don't know how people kind of perceive it now. When that team first emerged, they made the Good Brothers look like, the Rock and Roll Express. So, but he kind of found himself as a baby face, right? When he had the clean shave deal and he was opposite Bullet Club. What that looks like in WWE, I have no idea. But indeed, if we lost out here on the Dynamite review, we will not be covering this journey. So we'll save that for Tuesdays, perhaps, or the mythical
I will miss
NXT
the
review.
theme song.
Happy to see him gone. Happy I never got to see him wrestle again. It is what it is, bro. These Tongans, they're pretty stinky.
Wait,
not the ethnicity, the New Japan talk.
Are you not going to be there? Are you not going to be there on this new Wednesday NXT review show that I'm pitching? I was hoping you'd be there. I penciled you in.
You see, the thing is,
I think we could do a really funny bit.
As much as I would love to make these towns, I got a thing on Wednesday's show.
We got the watch.
Well, don't worry about it. I was thinking because it's such a big
No.
show.
I got a thing that day too, as well, that you were just thinking about. That day specifically, I have a thing, Joe. So
all right,
yeah,
okay. Because that's okay. We'll talk about it off the air, I guess. But Charlie, you'll be there, right? You've already.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm making all the towns. Don't worry about it.
You are.
Sapito $2 super chat. Matt selling for Flair kills me. It was fucking.
Real work.
No, those punches, bro.
It was
those punches and chops. Oh my god.
The
Painful,
speed
painful.
was wow. That was incredible. And Rick came out with you could see he had his wallet. Look, he just got it. He just walked into the building. We need you for an angle, Rick. You're shuffling him through. Yeah, it was as Charlie mentioned, there's that segment wasn't without that kind of lull, but it quickly came back with Sting's big arrival. So
Joe, did you see the angle that Andrade, Kenny Omega, and Flair did when Kenny Omega went to the Triple Mania a couple of years ago? And bro, by comparison, that was like what, 2 years ago? 3 years ago? By comparison, that looks like Flair in '89. Bro, those fucking chops, those chops and punches last night.
Yeah,
I don't even think he made contact on any of them.
I assume it's because he looked the same when he did the thing with Hobbs and Takeshita. Remember a couple weeks back? I guess that last match must have just whatever was. Not that there was anything left going into that match. But it was. We're in the negatives now. We're below zero at this point. But,
people,
he almost didn't come out of that match.
Yeah, people thought he was gonna drop dead during the match. A lot of people was like, "Hey, man, I'm gonna be watching because if Flair dies live on TV, I'm gonna be there." He survived somewhat.
I'll never. Do you remember that picture afterwards of it was Foley, Taker, and Brett? And Brett has this very particular look on his face as he's staring at Ric Flair, as if to say, "Holy fuck, man!" They had a weird relationship, right? They've sometimes kind of had their issues, and just the idea of being in Brett's shoes, he watched this friend/foe of yesteryear out there making a fool of himself. Only Ric Flair, folks, the highs and lows of the Nature Boy. Nonetheless, I suppose we should review Dynamite, right? I guess.
Yes.
Maybe?
Keep the super chats coming in, please.
Unless you want to do NXT now, we can do it now.
well, you see, the thing is,
All right.
we could do NXT now, but
We
then
could.
I would have this thing that would pop up. You see, like this just very important thing. We've spoken about it in the past. Like it was just like only specifically if
Okay.
we shifted to an NXT review would I have this thing, which is very unfortunate. But you know,
It
it's
is.
just it's life.
Yeah. Just things
Just
popping
make
up. It is what it is.
Obafemi all the champions. Give him all the belts,
Yeah.
and then we'll do an
Well,
NXT review.
Paul Henderson can have the North American belt or something.
Yeah, you can have some.
When and only when Obafemi is a North American and NXT champion will I do an NXT
Bro.
review.
I might have to
Write it
tap
down,
in for that
people.
match because that's
I'll
fire.
be there.
Okay, we'll pencil it in, folks. There you go. He's a man of his word. Okay, hold him to it. All right, to Dynamite. Hangman Adam Page kicked things off because he was kind of last week we closed with we were not really sure where things stood, right? And I think there wasn't any update in the week that followed. So he came out on the crutch, and it was kind of the whole. It's one of those segments you watch the whole time through the lens of like, should I believe this or not?
Right.
He started with a very sincere speech about kind of his role in AEW, so on and so forth. And then Swerve came out for this sort of like a show of respect, kind of, right? I mean, as much as these two fellas could respect each other in the timeline that we're working with here, and it appeared things were kind of framed in a way where we were moving to a Swerve and Joe match. And I think the smartest thing they did in this angle was they kind of committed to that, right? With Joe coming out, him and Swerve had an almost one-on-one promo duel that allowed you to kind of convince yourself that maybe that is the match after all. And then, of course, the aforementioned crutch was wrapped around the back of Swerve Strickland, and away he went, and we're back to the triple threat direction. So this was, we've used the word subtle in the past in terms of this Hangman kind of shift. He's just outright losing his mind at this point, right?
He's banging people around the back about it now.
The Swerve, the popularity and momentum of Swerve, and he's kind of a sense this belt is driving Hangman crazy. And this was the latest stop in that particular journey. Charlie, what did you make of this? And there's a lot of different pieces here. What did you make of this angle? Just overall.
Overall, like, I thought it was a pretty good angle. Like, it was a really good go home promo. Joe's promo here, man. Like, that line about you guys are hungry because of I'm starving. You're like, bro, he's been an excellent world champion.
What a fucking
and this
wrestler.
is why, on the belief that he's losing on Sunday, I still do not know who's coming out of that match champion. But this is why good reigns are short. Because if Joe has, like, taken all of the TV time he's got, and he's only done one match, done one defense, but he's made the reign so important and basically rehabbed, like, 6 months of title stuff. Like, and he's made the world belt, the world title feel like the most important thing on the show again, which is, like, all you could really ask for following kind of the disaster with the Devil story. Like it is what it is at this point. But I think everyone played their role here really well. I think the Swerve Hangman thing was really important because I think this was the start of them officially doing the double turn. Because Swerve was acting like the babyface here. He came out and was just like, yeah, man, I did some shitty things. Like, that was me. But you're you. And, like, he was, like, showing him this respect. And Hangman still hit him when his back was turned. Like, that's not a babyface thing to do. Like, with Hangman's character, like, it's a bit more, like, nuanced, because obviously he's just kind of losing his mind a little bit. But through the eyes of the audience, he's now the heel. He's now hit the guy that they're all rooting for, like, with his back turned. So I think they're really leaning into that now. I thought it was a bit kind of here and there in, like, yeah, we kind of saw where this was going with Hangman, like, the second, like, the way they were shooting it. But it achieved what it needed to, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you. And, like, I think this kind of, to me, did lock in that double turn you mentioned there. Swerve cut, when it was focused on just him and Joe in particular, he had a chance to kind of cut like a fired up, this is my moment babyface promo, right? I thought he killed it in that regard. AO, what did you make of this overall segment here to kick off Dynamite?
I love this fucking segment, right? Like, I saw Hangman limp out there. I saw his lower third. I don't remember what it says now, but it was something like about not in the best shape. It doesn't look great or something like that, right?
Yeah, not looking good.
Plus his promo, like, he drops the whole evil mustache Hangman, like, gimmick. He's just like, he's good old Hangman that we've known the first 4 years of AEW. He's just like, oh, shucks, guys. It's just not my time, I guess. I'm sorry. I love wrestling for you guys, but it's just not going to happen. And then Hangman, and then Swerve comes out. He cuts pretty much babyface promo too, just saying like, "Hey man, you've been a worthy foe. It is what it is. It's gonna be my time Sunday." Joe comes out, cuts one of my favorite Joe promos of the last 5 or 6 months because he's just like, he just churns these out now, bro.
Yeah.
Like just these incredible quotables, like Chuck said with the starving your ass line. That was great. But I thought Swerve had a really good rebuttal to him. You saw that he got the fans back behind him. They were all chanting Swerve's house and all that. And then Hangman just fucking, like you said, wraps that fucking crutch around Swerve's back. And I was like, yo, he's lost his mind. Like people be like, oh well, why is Hangman doing this? Like he pretended to get hurt, and now he's just so you had an opportunity to hit Swerve with a crutch. And now he's just fucking with him, bro. Maybe he did turn his ankle last week in kayfabe. I mean, maybe he did turn his ankle last week. Like it's a fucking turned ankle, bro. Like if it's a minor one, you'll be fine in 3 days. Like so, maybe he landed on it weird. He said, oh, fuck in front of the camera. Say, oh, maybe I could use this to my advantage. Get Swerve in the ring alone. He doesn't feel like he needs some old embassy out there with him. I'm gonna beat his ass with this fucking crutch. And then you see him lose his mind. Like he's completely lost his mind. And then commentary is really selling it. Excalibur's talking about the Wire Hangman Page. Like Excalibur's never said a bad word about Hangman this entire time. Yeah. So it's just like I love this program. People in the past, when you shit on MJF's title reign, people in the past, God forbid somebody tries to tell stories. Bro, I love stories. Tell me a bunch of stories. I don't want to see dog shit, bro. And then you tell me, well, he's telling a story. Maybe it's not wrestling focused. Samoa Joe's wrestled once this reign. I've loved this reign. I wish he wrestled a couple more times. I think there was an opportunity to get a Mox title defense somewhere in there on television, and they didn't take it. But either way, I really like this reign, and I assume it ends Sunday.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I wanted to follow up with. You know, folks, we are going to do a preview of Revolution, but I think it makes sense with this segment to just kind of, for a moment, look at that part of it. This segment, as we've all kind of circled here, was that, you know, Swerve left this as the clear babyface going in for the people. I think that goes with the promo he cut. I think that was the key take, you know, kind of talking point. This build is fascinating because, as we've discussed over and over, all three wrestlers feel like feasible winners here. I guess my question for this segment specifically is, which way did this change your perception of where this match is going? Now, Charlie, I know you're going to be in Greensboro when we did the preview, so I'll start with you. Did this shift your current prediction? And if so, what's the change?
I change my mind on who I think is going to win this every time I talk about it. Because I was literally talking to someone about it earlier. I was just like, yeah, Swerve's probably going to come out champion. I think they're going to crown him here. I'm not convinced that Hangman's not going to cost him. I don't think that either of them walk out with a belt. I think Joe retains because of Hangman screws over Swerve, and he's so focused on that. And Joe's just like, well, I don't give a fuck about your beef. I'm walking out with my belt. I think that's how it's going to go down. And I think that Swerve might get crowned at Big Business. I think they might do a TV title. It's obviously not a TV title change, but you know what I mean. Like, do the change on TV.
I currently am leaning in the same direction. I'm wondering if there's a finish you could do specifically where it's like Hangman actively sacrifices his own chance to win in order to stop Swerve. You know, that kind of like, I'm trying to think of what the finish would be.
Could you imagine if Joe's got him in the submission and like he locks eyes with Swerve, like as Swerve's like trying to crawl in to like break it up, and Hangman just taps? That would be fucking sick.
Yeah, see, that I think could be very impactful. And it would give you a kind of logical reason for Swerve to get a shot at Big Business.
Yes.
How are you feeling on this potential delaying of the Swerve coronation until Big Business? What do you reckon?
I never even thought of that as being an option. I don't know how I feel about Swerve losing on Sunday. Like, I know people are talking about, oh well, it's not the pay-per-view main event. He needs to win in the main event. I think that talk's a little overblown. This is Sting retiring once in a fucking lifetime. It's Sting, bro. Like, you just have to understand that the world title is not gonna go on last in a case like this. And I don't think that lessens somebody being coordinated at all in this situation. Like, even if it was Hangman Page, who the first 3 years of AEW was dedicated to getting the Hangman story over and eventually crowning him. I think it would be fine if Sting had to retire, but maybe move it back. I don't know, but I think it would be fine for the most part.
Yeah.
If they go the route of Hangman costing Swerve and then Swerve winning at Big Business, I'm fine with it.
Right.
I don't know if I love it. I assume Swerve wins here, but I guess we'll see.
There is, I must admit, that like I do think on some level, like instinctually, it does feel like Swerve's the hot, fresh face. Just go with it.
Yeah.
You know, that is, and I always think you have to be wary of like, do you want to overthink it? You know, there's always the navigation. I mean, it's ironic we're talking about this with Samoa Joe as the champ because they waited so long. 16 years ago was when he won the TNA World Heavyweight title, and they had waited so long that by that point people were kind of like,
over
okay, like it's cool, but yeah, like he should have won that belt a year prior, right? And that's, you always have to be careful with that. It's also interesting, feels relevant here that, you know, it was announced later the All-Star Scramble match they're doing.
Yeah.
And I believe it was said the winner gets a shot, right? The world title.
Yeah,
So
world title shot.
that's a little bit, depending on if you think Wardlow's winning, that's a little spooky.
Yeah, that scares me. Scares me greatly.
That is scary because Wardlow was in that match, the Meat Mania or whatever, the Meat Madness. It looked like it was gonna be like Wardlow going over there because it was like his match. He was really the only one on TV promoting it. So it'd be weird if you just were like, "Oh, Hobbs winning," but Wardlow did cut that promo on Joe.
Yeah.
So they might want to get that. Oh,
that's
no.
very concerning.
Oh no!
Hang on, the cogs are turning. Like,
especially if like that's the big match for Big Business, I think that would be
that's the big
a mistake.
business.
I think that would be a mistake. Yeah.
Bro, I've watched a Wardlow Joe match live.
Oh wow.
There's not a whole lot. There's not a whole lot I think you could do that's going to entice people. Like,
no.
Like that should be like, it's a fucking Dynamite called Big Business. Like Wardlow being the opponent doesn't scream Big Business to me. I'm sorry.
Their TV match at the end of 2022 was like okay. Their pay-per-view match was the total down spot of that show. It was like it's just not. It's not good matchmaking for Joe at this point. He needs guys that can, you know, make the motion for him, and he can go in there and just whack them. A bigger guy, it's just it doesn't. I don't know. We've left this conversation less optimistic than we entered it, which is a good sign that I'm hosting now. Anyway, folks, tell us what you think. Super chat,
I believe the All-Star 8-man, whatever they're calling that match, I think there's the 8th person is not announced yet. Like it's gonna be like a Joker or some situation like that. Because they said the triple threat would put somebody into that match, which happened at the at Dynamite. Well, the collision taping that happened last night, and then we don't know the 8th person yet. So I don't know.
The other person was coming out of a
there's a match on Rampage. Match. Yeah, it was.
Oh, there's a Rampage match. Okay.
I had the same confusion because they didn't really highlight it. I think it's Matt Sydal match, Charlie.
Oh, it's the Sydal. Who's
I can't think of who he's working, but
he's facing one of the CMLL guys.
Yeah, that match had above the graphic. It said there would be a New Star Scramble.
All right, never mind. I was trying to quote, thinking that somebody might return, like a Pac or somebody. But
just throw a knife person in there. Who cares at this point?
No.
The All-Star Scramble is going to be...
Samoa Joe versus Pac could be a really sick TV match.
That would be awesome. Yeah, that match would be great.
Yeah,
that would be great. That would be great matchmaking for Joe right there. That would be that'd be something.
Someone that's going to bump himself for him the way that Pac bumps themselves for people. Like,
yeah, absolutely. This is a fascinating conversation. Folks, tell us what you think, perhaps via super chat. But
yes.
In the meantime, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson are in attendance. They arrived at the building. Were met by Renee Paquette, and this started like a whole like show-long story of them like trying to find Sting.
Yes.
Which is just a funny thing to just ponder in itself, right? Like the idea of it, like Sting, the idea that he was just up there the whole time waiting.
just hanging from the
praying.
rafters.
Yeah, like just praying they're going to come down to ringside, like so he can finally
Yeah.
attack. He has this entire plan laid out that includes his 74-year-old friend getting the shit kicked out of him.
God
No, it's not time to go yet. Not time to go yet.
Yeah, so we'll pair this with the one later with Eddie, where they cut off Eddie and was questioning his appearance and attire and all that good stuff. So, Charlie, I'm assuming this week was more of the same for you in terms of being all in on Matthew and Nicholas and their latest antics, right?
It is popping me so much. I feel like they're the perfect people to do something like this, because I don't feel like they're leaning into it too much, but they're making it believable that they really are like these just massive pricks to everyone in the locker room, but they paint it as we're just trying to do the best for you guys. Like, they are very, very funny when it comes to that. And bro, if Eddie can find a tag partner and they run that sort of match again, I'm all in on that, because of the Bucks versus Eddie versus anyone always is a great match for me. I enjoy that a lot, especially if Eddie loses at the pay-per-view. I'm sure we'll talk about that at some point. But yeah, man, these segments, they're very funny, and I don't think anyone but the Bucks could do them the way they're doing them, to be honest.
It feels very natural, yeah. Like, it feels like they're having fun with it, and I think it's unlocking the best parts of them as TV personalities, right? Like, it's capturing some of the things that made them great in 2021 as heels, and it's kind of ramped up. So, I agree. Oh, I'm assuming you're on board with this. I assume. Hot take. I'm guessing you like it.
Thank God for our EVPs, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson. Just think of how fucking boring and how many times you'd have to hear my daughter and my wife. If he was feuding with FTO, what the fuck would they even be feuding about, bro? Like, it would literally just be Sting Glaze the entire time. It wouldn't be enticing TV. No, we got two real wrestlers, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson. The two highest paid tag team wrestlers of all time. Niggas don't want to go band for band with them. It'll get really embarrassing, Joe. Don't make Nicholas. Joe. I'm begging you, Joe. Do not make Nicholas Jackson pull out his bank account. All right. Not only does he tell the best stories, not only does he have the best matches, he has the most money. All right. And unfortunately, Sting is gonna have to lay down on Sunday, as he absolutely should. All right. What are we talking about again? I forgot.
The segment where they
What
are we talking about?
About the couple backstage segments.
Oh my god! I thought about the Bucks. I just thought about how fucking inspiring and amazing they are. I just had to go on a tangent. Oh no, but the backstage segment where they confronted that slob, that bum Eddie Kingston. Told him to get his life together. Told him to get his goddamn life together. You know, he's a champion in this company. And this is how he represents the company. It's disgusting. All right? But bits aside, I fucking love Eddie. I hope they run that match back. The Penta match, the match that he tagged with Penta was fucking awesome. The match that he tagged with Mox goes without saying against the Bucks. Let's go for the 3P. Let's go for the 3P. But it's good shit.
Yep, I agree. Eddie and the Bucks is like one of those great wrestling cases of weird chemistry, right? You wouldn't necessarily expect if they actually really did have chemistry. So I agree. Speaking of Eddie Kingston, let's get into our first match of the night. There was only one match in the opening hour, the first hour, I should say, and it was, to be fair, it was a pretty long match, right? They went I'm pretty sure they went over 20. Yeah. Blackpool Combat Club over FTI and Eddie Kingston, who I think that may be the most Joe Holbert promotions trio in the history of professional wrestling. So credit to them for that. And they certainly put some time in here. Physicality was through the roof. At one point, Cash and Mox were just like headbutting each other bluntly in the middle of the ring, which was a choice, but nonetheless. Double heat collision once again here, making an appearance on AEW Dynamite. And then things all broke down at the end until Dragon choked out Eddie Kingston, which I actually thought was pretty surprising. I thought one of Cash or Dax was going to get pinned here. So that was interesting. We'll get into kind of the ramifications for that at the pay-per-view in a moment. But firstly, Ayo, what did you make of this big all-star trios match to kick us off?
Oh my God. John Moxley looks great. Bryan Danielson looks great. Eddie Kingston looks great. Claudio Castagnoli looked great. Oh my. It was just, those four guys just looked awesome.
So close.
It was it was the only match in the first hour, and those four guys they had such a good match, and it was long that people didn't mind. People still really enjoyed the first hour. It made me look forward to seeing BCC kick the shit out of FTR on Sunday, and the Eddie versus Danielson match, which I think, well, I thought before Eddie got choked out, I thought Danielson was gonna win, but I thought he was gonna win there, but who knows? Maybe he still does. Yeah, it was enjoyable. It was enjoyable seeing Brett have to sell for a heart attack. I know he was just fucking like, he was just felt so disrespected that anybody but the Hart Foundation would dare to do that fucking move. But the BCC, all four of them, Wheeler Yuta included, they're all higher on the all-time list than Bret Hart. So it just is what it is.
Okay, all right, folks.
It just is what it is.
I'm happy for everyone to have fun here, but the Yuta edition was where you went. That was just too, you could have had fun with the rest of it and I'd have played along. That was too far.
How many times has Bret Hart been Ring of Honor pure champion?
True.
You let me know.
Yeah, fair. I think they have about the same amount of memorable Pure Rules matches, to be fair. So, it is what it is. All right. Charlie, what did you think of the opener?
No, Joe, did Wheeler Yuta deserve that? Did deserve what you just did to him?
He may not have, but I feel you did, and that's what it is. I was against the ropes, so I had to fire back. I had to. The hands were up. I was covering up. I saw an opening.
All right, Sean, go ahead. I had to confront Holbert for a second. Go ahead.
Yeah, I get it. This is very entertaining to watch. I loved this match. I think that even there's like the difference between this trios match and the one that main evented Dynamite like a couple of weeks ago is kind of crazy in terms of like how it was structured, because they went similar times, but this one was just like, I don't know, it was just fucking awesome. Like, it was great. Yeah. Like the brawl on the outside, like the closing stretch, it was all just really, I don't feel like there was any point where it was like there was a lull in the match. I was just like, well, they could have shortened this down a little bit or whatever. But I think it was a great all-star tag, great little preview of Revolution, and the finish surprised me and kind of threw a spanner in the works of how I thought the Eddie Bryan match is going to go, to be honest.
Yeah, I want to kind of focus on that part. I will say, folks, anyone who keeps record of these shows, this is one to note, because my friend Charlie, on this occasion, preferred the long FTR match to I did. I think you like this a lot more than I did.
Probably.
I thought this was good. I thought they lost their way a little bit in the final stretch, but it could be high standards and things of that nature. I'm used to on Saturdays. Things are so smooth. It's difficult with these renegades over on Wednesday nights. But
yeah,
it was a good
it's
match.
crazy, bro. Because you throw the FTR match on, that you could get a good 25 minutes of sleep before they actually do a wrestling move in the go home stretch. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that they just like Cash had like 2 hot tags or whatever it was, the fact that they just kept the pace up and actually wrestled a style that people could pop to and enjoy and show somebody without embarrassing them and their lineage, it was very interesting. I was watching, I was like, yeah, Joe's gonna hate this, bro. Like, he's trying to sleep. It's 3 a.m. in England right now. Like, what's going on?
It's crazy. That is close to the truth than I'm happy to admit. I've got to say, that is, yeah, you're not wrong. I was going, this is too many moves now. They got to someone rein him in a little bit. What would Brett think? Anyway, you mentioned the finish. Now, like, this really was interesting because this is one of those deals where I wonder if there's a case of reverse psychology at play here, because Bryan Danielson he really is insane. He's very aware of what we all thought when we saw that finish, because every wrestling fan that is as in deep as us losers would say immediately, oh my God, Eddie's winning on Sunday.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure. Charlie, what's your kind of gut feeling on this? It really did surprise me, the finish of this match, I must say.
Yeah. I think, like, the way that they've been building this feud, like, I know the feud's been going longer than the build for this match, but the way they've been building for this Revolution match, like, Bryan is just, like, gotten the upper hand again and again and again. And it feels like a reversal on the whole story they were telling in the Continental Classic, where Eddie finally overcame him, and like this, like him submitting Eddie on Dynamite, I was like, damn. Are they like trying to build this up as Eddie's finally gonna like best him once and for all? Like, is this the story they're telling? I'm not convinced. I think Brian's still going over on Sunday, and they're just kind of making this a very definitive thing of Eddie still can't get the job done, and I think that's going to play into Eddie's story long term. I pitched this like a month or two ago at this point. I'm still kind of convinced that Eddie's like gonna do like the Mad King gimmick again and be like more of a heel than a face. People are gonna cheer Eddie no matter what, but I think he's gonna like lean into like the batshit crazy side a bit more again, and I think that the Revolution match is gonna play into that massively. I think Brian's taken it.
I'm really intrigued because, you know, their prior matches, Eddie always gets too emotional, right? And that costs him. And the match that Eddie won, the way it was explained by Brian himself on commentary at World's End was that he traded strikes with Eddie and got knocked out. Basically, was the way that he framed it. And so this finish kind of allowed you to reframe their dynamic and reiterate the fact that, like, there's a lot of evidence that this is just a brutal matchup for Eddie Kingston. And I think that's the best story to tell here. I don't know how it ends though. AO, what are you thinking here with this Eddie Bryan thing? Where do you think we're going on Sunday?
I think Eddie wins now, which is the more boring answer. I would put the belts on Bryan and have a fight without honor as Supercard of Honor. I think there's a lot of money there to do the programming. Like Bryan has a nice little a little bit over a month. Yeah, a little bit over a month reign. Yeah. Give him some TV defenses, Supercard of Honor match. Let Eddie go over there, and then they could do the whole handshake gimmick and be done with it. But I don't know. Has AEW ever really strayed from the trope of the loser? Yeah, I don't think they have. So I don't know. I'll be pleasantly surprised if Danielson wins.
I think if Eddie does win, I think it may be a case of Bryan shakes his hand and then kind of that sets him up to be a more traditional babyface for the rest of this, like, you know, kind of retirement tour. It's not, I say kind of because he's going to wrestle individual matches for a long time, but like as a full-time guy, I wonder if that's what they do. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's going to be really, again, and this is one of the big strengths of this show, Revolution, is that the card looks spectacular, but also there's a lot of matches that are hard to predict. And I think this is near the top of that list. So very compelling, and it's great for a Road 2 match to kind of add even more doubt to the finish, right? So good stuff all around, I think it's fair to say. All right. Well, this particular thing was good stuff. I was going to be spiteful. I won't be. The Chris Jericho backstage interview. The interview itself was, you know, kind of whatever because he was playing it. He was such a babyface here that there wasn't even really much to sink your teeth into. But the video package thing was quite cool, right? Like, I know at this point it's become a meme. It's like one extreme or the other. Either there can be no video packages or there has to be 100. Otherwise, there's no healthy middle ground, I'm told. But to me, this was actually well done. It explained the story of why Chris wanted this match, and they showed the old footage, which Jericho even attempted to call back upon about an hour after this, which mixed results we'll get to. But I thought this was well done, Ao. What did you make of this kind of Jericho little bit of history lesson we got here?
I liked it a lot. It foolishly got me excited for the match. But yeah, it was interesting. I always like when Jericho delves into his lore a little bit. Cause he is somebody, like it or not, bro. Like he's had one of the best careers of all time in this business. And maybe it's gone a little too long at this point. But he's still Chris Jericho. He was held in a very high regard for a very long time, based off his work for a very good reason. So it's cool when he could touch on some of the things that he did before he made it to ECW, WCW, WWE, and then eventually AEW.
Yeah, I agree completely. It's a conversation that if we'd have had this as soon as the segment ended, I think it'd be a little bit more upbeat. But the match itself struggled to quite. We'll get into it. Charlie, what did you make of this little interview itself and the video package and such?
It was cool seeing like the old CMLL tapes on like AEW and them using those to like add more to the story rather than just these guys have history and here what it is. You could actually see like what we were meant to be understand. I think that was a really good way to introduce it. Honestly, like Jericho has history with some of the most like random guys in the business at this point. This is the sort of thing he should be doing. He shouldn't be a weekly TV guy anymore. He should just kind of come in and be like, hey, I'm gonna have this random cool match with this random guy. Here's our history, here's why we're doing it. Like, do that every 6 weeks, and like I will never complain about Jericho again. Like, I'll take that. But no, I thought this was really cool, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree with you conceptually. Hopefully we can find guys that are more
Yeah.
how do we put flattering to what Chris can still do, a good level. I think
Yes.
that's the key. It appears that our rivalry, AO, is getting positive feedback in the chat. I see a super chat here. I think we're on for feud of the year, brother. I think the critics are enjoying it thus far.
Is this a rivalry? I thought we just
Well,
throwing
sorry,
the ball around. You know,
when
if you get out of line, I just smack you around a little bit, and then we get back to business. But bro, $2 super chat. We appreciate you. AO versus Jew is a Joe. I don't know what I'm cooking. Shout out to all my Hasidic niggas, but Joe is not one of them. AO versus Joe is a dynamic we need more of from WrestlePurists. Well, we will be here every Wednesday for the most part, unless Dynamite stinks again. Then Joe might disappear, or I might disappear. But keep tapping in with us on Wednesdays. We will be here. Keep the super chats coming in, please, and thank you, y'all.
Yeah, it's currently like that. Remember that Embiid quote where it was like they asked him about the rivalry of the Celtics, and he said, "There's not really a rivalry; they just beat us every time." that's me over here in the corner with my dukes up, trying my best. But yes, absolutely, folks. We appreciate the support. All right, Will Ospreay had a lot of support, support on this show. He got a hell of an ovation, and I wasn't surprised is the wrong word for it, but it's Huntsville, Alabama, man. Like, this is not and he got this like superstar reaction. He had great energy and was really fired up to be there. And I just thought this was really encouraging, not only in the sense that, it was a good segment. I think this is the best Don Callis has actually, kind of came across in the show for a while. But Ayo, you mentioned it earlier. It was encouraging because I think this was a pretty good clue as to where we're going direction-wise, and that's the right direction. So what did you make of this segment, Ayo? Go ahead.
I love this segment. Unfortunately, Osprey's Tron fucking sucks. What is that, bro? Like that and the Swerve Tron, bro. Can we get these? Can we get these comic Trons away from these real wrestlers, bro? Like, put wrestling moves in there. Swerve had the perfect one with the Mogul Embassy one. He went away from it. Obviously, Osprey had to start new, because he's not in New Japan anymore. But that fucking sucked. But to see him just smiling ear to ear, skipping to the ring. Like, I love Will Ospreay. I've loved him for a very long time. To see him like have all this success and be like this happy, it means something to me, bro. And it was dope. And to see him get that reaction in Huntsville, Alabama, of all places, like you said, it was awesome. He got the star treatment, like he should. Went out there, cut a babyface promo. Then the Don Callis' fart theme hit. He made his way to the ring, and he had the first segment that I've enjoyed of his in I don't know how long. Like once like maybe
when
like one of the first to catch
heel,
segments.
man.
Yeah, because he was like
first turned heel.
He was playing like shady kind of like boxing promoter here, right? Like he's pitting these two guys against each other, and he's trying to like convince. Like the best moment he had, in fear of going too far with the Don Callis praise, but the best moment he had was when the crowd was chanting for Ospreay and he was doing the Takeshita, like he was doing. That was good, So yeah, I agree. I thought this was like the right usage of him, and Takeshita had this. The facial expression for him was great here too, wasn't it? My goodness.
Yes.
So it was like when we heard that Ospreay was coming to AEW, we was like, yeah, his first program is gonna be with the Don Callis family. And then we're like, oh no. Like we saw where this was going. We thought he was gonna be with Don Callis full time. And because every time Ospreay came into AEW, even if he was like the top babyface in New Japan or like one of the top babyfaces in New Japan, he would come into AEW to be a heel. And it kind of makes sense because he's like the foreign guy invading the other promotion to do whatever he had to do, and then he's just gonna leave. So maybe you don't make him babyface in these situations, but we thought that he was gonna be the heel again. But he went out there, he acted like a babyface, he talked like a babyface, he walked like a he skipped to the ring like a babyface. So, and then Takeshi was just like acting like a dickhead towards him, where like he didn't refuse to let go of his hand just once, but twice. It was just like, all right, so we see where this is going. Like Osprey's going over. There's gonna be a beat down. If Osprey and Fletcher are lucky, maybe Fletcher's allowed back in the country by then. Maybe he'll save him for the beat down or whatever. We get the United Empire going. Worst case scenario, we see Kip Sabian go out there, Joe. You see Kip Sabian go out there and throw the crowns up, brother. But oh no, Charlie, don't do that. Don't do that.
I have a bit to commit to. We've had this argument several times.
Wow. Okay. Fair.
But yeah, unfortunately, I think that's something that's gonna happen regardless. But let's just hold on to that. It doesn't have to be Revolution. Like let us enjoy Osprey for one night before you get saddled with Kip. But
oh come on, bro, Kip's not that bad.
Well, depends who you ask. You ask 99%
as an
of the population.
on-screen character, he's not that bad. We will leave the wrestling to another day.
Yeah,
he does his thing. But yeah, I love this segment. Really excited for the match on Sunday. Fully expected to be match of the year contender, if not the match of the year. Yeah.
It'll be spectacular. I agree. Charlie, without talking about Kip Sabian, what did you think of this segment?
There was like a tiny moment I was terrified that he wasn't gonna have elevated, and when it hit, it just made me so giddy. These US crowds, like the reaction he got was crazy, but they need to learn the theme song ASAP. They need to get that down because they're gonna get shown up when AEW comes back to the UK, I'm afraid. But no, I love this segment. I thought it was really well done. There was a really like subtle moment because of the camera kind of missed it a little bit, but when the crowd was chanting "You suck" at Don Callis, Ospreay was just kind of like, me? I suck? Like he was like playing into that bit. But I'm so happy it does seem that Ospreay's not going to be saddled with the Don Callis family forever. Just please God, do not let the feud go on for 6 months.
Yeah, that's another issue.
That is the other issue we look at. But I'm very, very excited for this match. The handshake bit, like, this is like the sort of match it didn't need a massive build, but like even with just this one segment, they've made it feel like one of the biggest matches on the pay-per-view, which is like all you can ask for really in this situation. So very happy for Ospreay. I think he's going to kill it in AEW, to be honest. Like I think he's going to be absolutely fine.
You can absolutely do a variety of builds with these things. They don't all have to be these like, complicated, they interact backstage every week. Like it's a very simple scenario. It's like, this is a match we want to see. And there is an element of tension with Don Callis. I'm in. That's all we need. There's another 8 matches on the card for other issues, and I think they should be kind of, especially with Ospreay. Like, I think you can do kind of a sports presentation with Ospreay and be fine for it. Honestly, like, he's a charismatic, ass-kicking pro wrestler who the people think is the best wrestler in the world. That's all you need, really, right? Because some great pro wrestlers, many of my favorites, honestly. What they are great at is not necessarily the more loud and bombastic things. You do not need to be a critic to understand, or an analyst to understand Will Ospreay's appeal inside the ropes, right? He's someone that, like, if you bill him as he's the best wrestler in the world, it will come across that way, like, immediately. He's spectacular. Everything he does looks crazy. So I don't think you have to complicate things with him. Let him be him, basically, and let him wrestle almost everyone on your roster. And I think you'll see the results pretty quick. So we'll see kind of how they approach it here in the coming weeks and months. All right. International title. Now, I was kind of hesitant about this because I think we've all seen enough of these, but this particular one did have a certain appeal, as it was Nick Wayne opposite Orange Cassidy. Now, obviously, there's a ceiling on this because to say the result wasn't in doubt would be an understatement. Like, it was, you knew Nick Wayne wasn't winning this match. I mean, it was like, might as well have been a spoiler. But I did want to kind of have a look at where Nick Wayne looked at to be at in his progression, because the last time he wrestled on Collision, I thought he looked a lot better. And I think we saw that kind of continue here, Charlie. Like, I know you mentioned it on Twitter a little bit. Like, Nick Wayne looked better here, right? What did you make of the match?
I think that Nick Wayne's like, he's always had pretty good like moves, but like he's really starting to put things together in the ring now. And like learning under Christian's an incredibly smart wrestler, so you can't really choose someone better to learn from, to be honest. But like putting him in with someone like Orange Cassidy, who has proven he can have incredible matches with people that wrestle like Nick Wayne, just like the Forbidden Door match he had with Ospreay. Like I feel like that was a really smart choice to see where Nick Wayne was at in a singles manner. And wrestling as a heel is like really benefiting him, I think. Like he's laying his shit in more, like he's looking more aggressive in the ring. And it's only benefiting him, I think. And he's like, obviously he's still got a ways to go. He's like 18, 19 at like he's a baby in the business. But
Right.
from where he was like when he first joined AEW to now, I think he has done quite a bit to like improve himself in the ring. And it's really impressive, honestly. Considering he hasn't wrestled all that much.
Yeah, I agree because I have to be honest. His initial shines in AEW, I was like kind of concerned. I didn't think it was.
concerning.
Yeah, I didn't think it was translating to TV very well. But I think as a heel, it's been different thus far. What did you make of the international title match?
Yeah, Nick Wayne on this return. I don't know what he was doing. He was out. I don't know if he was injured or if he was just like training some more or what. But he wasn't getting the AEW matches, wasn't getting ROH matches, wasn't on the indies either. He came back. He had the great showing on Collision. He had another good showing last night. I was kind of concerned when the match was announced because
Yeah.
like Orange Cassidy is a guy that you bring the pace. He knows how to do a bunch of flips and stuff, but he doesn't really do any of that anymore. And then like Nick Wayne is like working heel. I thought it might be like slow and like plodding and boring or maybe like something like that. But nah, man, Nick Wayne's heat segments, his control segments were enjoyable enough as a heel. He still got like his flippy offense and stuff. It was a good match. I enjoyed it. I hope this is a streak that can continue because like you mentioned earlier, Nick Wayne's original showing in AEW, it was concerning, but I thought he would always end up fine because I was a big fan of his on the indies. I've seen the Swerve matches, which was great. The Ospreay match, which was great. There's just other general stuff that he did. But I think he's finally putting it together now, and he's not the guy that's on TV anymore because like he's Buddy Wayne's kid and he has like high-ranking friends in AEW and he's 18, so that's another thing. Like, nah, he deserves to be in these spots because he's a talented professional wrestler.
Yeah, and I think it's clear. I think we've all kind of mentioned it. It's the heel. He just, as a personality right now, it's just the right place for him to be.
Right.
Especially with the way he emotes, his facial expressions and stuff, he's way better as a heel. Like, the people can very easily get on board with wanting to see that dude get his ass kicked, right? Which is a good thing. Like, that's, as a baby face, it felt like he was kind of miscast to me. And I think right now, you're seeing the benefit of the heel turn and Christian, his influence, as Charlie mentioned. Now, there was some shenanigans in this one, right down the stretch. The Undisputed Kingdom arrived. Garcia was there. Rocky and Trent were there. There was like a whole lot going on. And then in the end, post-match, as soon as Orange won, Roddy jumped in with the big knee to kind of finish a build that has been, well, it's been fascinating. Yeah, fascinating is the word, Chuck, because it's like, it's been going on for a long time. It's mostly just been developed through angles like this and or matches between Orange and friends. And I mean, it's been, I'll say this, it's got here quicker than when we initially knew they were doing this 6 weeks out. I was more concerned, and I think
it was oh my god like situation. But
I think it's gone okay.
We made it through this, and it was pretty good.
I agree. Any concern? I say this as a big Roderick Strong fan. To be clear, I'm a little concerned the placement may kill this on Sunday. It's a little. I'm looking at this card and. This looks like a match that could be a victim of being placed between bigger things that people are more interested in.
Right.
I still think it should open.
Open?
Yeah. I think we've been saying that for the past couple of reviews.
Yeah.
If they're not going to crown DG, like if DG doesn't win the TNT title, then open with this, I guess.
Because we all agree, right? Like if it is given that spot, they're going to kill it. Like they're going to tear it up if they have a fresh... I just worry they have a good match that's kind of cold in the building because you guys are going to be exhausted from all the other stuff that's going on. So time will tell. I think we all are of the belief that Roddy's leaving with the belt on Sunday, right?
If he doesn't, I'm going to be absolutely baffled. Like, what the fuck are we doing?
That would be complete booking malpractice if this OC reign continues any longer.
I love OC, bro, but like, how much more can he do with this belt? Like, like unless you're sending him out to like do what he did at RevPro and just come defend it in random matches around like in like the UK and Europe and all that. Like, what are you doing if you're not like if you keep the belt on him? It's just I love OC, but he needs to be doing something different.
People rag on this reign, and I don't blame them because it's been tough, but Orange Cassidy was put in a really difficult position.
Oh yeah, it's not his
Yeah.
fault.
Having
Yeah,
to take this belt back after he wrestled literally every mid carder on the roster
Yeah.
already. So it was just like
Mhm.
he got fucked having to get the belt back, but he did the best he could. I hope they're gonna tear it up on Sunday. Roddy should absolutely go over.
it's exciting too. From like Roddy's he hardly wrestled really, considering he's been
Yeah.
there for almost a year. So
Yeah,
this reign that he's about to have, there's a chance for like there should be a bunch of fresh matchups waiting, right? There should be a bunch.
Absolutely.
So that could be a nice addition to this show each week or whatever show. Honestly, that's one of those reigns where like hopefully Roddy wrestles at the rate that Orange has, because I think that'd be a hoot. So
that should be the goal. Like if
Yeah.
we get out of this reign and Roddy's not serious contention for best in ring next year for all the awards, they fucked up somewhere.
They
along
fucked
the
up
line.
somewhere,
They
I
fucked
agree.
up.
Yeah, I agree. It feels like he's been waiting to really have a chance to like go crazy in there, right? And this should be it. So, yeah, it's pretty exciting, honestly, that part of this. Folks, please do, as I've said throughout the program, like, subscribe, and if you're feeling generous, want to support Charlie's night on the town in Greensboro, please do send a super chat. I believe we have
All
a
my
super
super
chat.
chat money will be spent at the
Do.
arcades.
Yes.
Don't you
Do.
worry.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Ibrahim Niang, $2 super chat. AO versus Ibu, Rock Austin. AO versus Joe, Rock Triple H. Well, I will agree with something here. You know, Joe is a very believable Triple H. I'm a very believable Rock. But in what situation, Ibu, are you Stone Cold Steve Austin? Now, if you said somebody like, you know, Mae Young, or Tyrus, who else?
Yeah,
Satnam Singh, people,
Yeah.
people your caliber, Ibu. But Stone Cold Steve Austin, that's kind of crazy to me.
It's a little aggressive. Like sending a super chat like that just exclusively to put yourself over is a little much, honestly. I mean, I wouldn't.
Hey, like, come on.
But we get
bro.
paid, so it is
Like,
what it is.
It could have been like The Rock versus Danhausen or something. Be like, yeah, that is AO versus Ibu. That is AO Ibu. Yeah. But Austin's crazy.
Yeah, I like that you went far enough in that direction that in the end I was happy with my Triple H comp. Initially, I was going to fight back on Triple H, and by the time you were done, I was like, actually, that's fine. I'll
he
take
did
that.
me a favor.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. All right. Speaking of doing someone a favor, the Bang Bang Scissor Gang are backstage here, and Jay White has our friend Montgomery calls great mass conversation. Did you see this? He did a tweet about it.
You know, I didn't see that tweet until literally like today, this afternoon. Like I had no clue Monty started Jay White dialogue on the timeline, bro. People were pissed. They got his grown ass.
It was it was not. It wasn't WrestlePurists. It was at Montel W, which is when you know shit's getting serious, right? When that comes.
Yeah, when people find that account, Monty just hangs out on that account, is cynical about everything, puts over Obafemi, does his thing. His tweets don't really leave his circle on that account, but that one pissed people off.
It sure did. I don't think he's the only one on WrestlePurists that's pissed off either. Charlie, I don't think you're thrilled about where we're about this particular thing, right? So was any latest thoughts, I guess? I don't know why you would have any updated thoughts really, but any?
What the fuck is going on with this? Bro, the whole point of this super faction was because of the Undisputed Kingdom. They don't talk about them. There is no goal with this faction anymore. And everyone was like, oh, well, now we're just going to get a unification match at some point. Like the Bullet Club Gold are going to turn on them. And they're still not doing it. They still haven't done anything. And like, yeah, maybe they just didn't want to overload the Revolution card. You can do the turn and not book the match on Revolution. You can book it for the Dynamite after. It's fine. It's whatever. What the fuck? Like, people are doing this whole save Jay White thing. This is not a good use of pretty much anyone like that's involved in this at the moment. But particularly Jay White. He is a former IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. I'm not saying he's got to be in the main event scene, but his run in AEW so far has been fucking weird. Like, it's been all over the place. And now he's like the front man of a faction that's a really cool faction, and then being trios champ should be really fun, and there should be some really cool matches they can have, and they're stuck fucking scissoring with the Acclaimed on TV. Like, what are we doing? I am endlessly frustrated about this at the moment, and because of so much of like the rest of Dynamite is so good, and like at the moment, this just like stands out to me as just like the leftover of an era of Dynamite that everyone hated. And I just channel all of my frustrations into it.
I could tell you got pretty fired up there. I respect it.
It's because people were telling me, "Oh, just let it play out. It's gonna go to like there's a story here." What? There's nothing.
Yeah,
they really aren't like telling a story. And if this still goes where we all assume it's gonna go, which is the title unification match, this was a really, really, really strange way to get from point A to point B. Like I could dig the idea with super faction, and then somebody catching a Blade Runner, and then the match happens. But them just being like this going on for this long, and them being like, oh, we need to have these what's it called matches, like these mixed bang scissor gang trios matches and shit. Bro, Joe, I was on the watch along last week, and I couldn't believe that somebody didn't catch a Blade Runner. No, it wasn't. I was watching with somebody. I don't remember, but I couldn't believe that somebody didn't catch a Blade Runner. After the trios match, they just went to the next segment, and I was like, "What do you mean you went to the next segment? This must be a mistake." Like I thought that they were gonna go back to the ring because they didn't mean to go backstage. This is crazy. Like I don't agree with everybody saying that like Jay White's career is ruined or Jay White's like in the fucking bin now. He's doing something away from the world title scene, which he would have to do after jobbing to MJF. But this is a baffling use of him. Let's wrap this up.
Yeah, to your point, you have to kind of at times guys are going to rotate out of the main scene, but the issue for Jay is it felt like after the Full Gear match he needed rehabbing to begin with, right? And Continental Classic like kind of got him a little bit of the way there, but not as far. And then whatever they got from the Continental Classic has been erased for Jay, individually by this. So, yeah, I don't know. I agree with you that it's not like, it's nothing to be kind of panicked by necessarily because you can easily reheat him. It's like he's one angle promo match away, right? Like it's not a mile away, but that doesn't mean this is good. I think that's the point basically. So.
I got so much shit for being against the super faction when they first like linked up. I threw a hissy fit on that Dynamite review as well. I was just like, what the fuck are they doing? And here we are.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I think it's also difficult that it's like the presumed direction, as we've all mentioned, is like it's just a trios match with the Acclaim. It's not like it's something that's really exactly worth waiting for. It'll be fine, right? Like, I'm sure it'll be a good match, but it's not anything to be super excited about. So
yeah,
we'll leave that there. Hopefully things get better on the super faction front, I guess. And by better, I mean it ends. Things did get better on the show. I'm actually happy to have positive review of this. Sky Blue versus Chris Statlander. A couple weeks ago, I mentioned that I felt bad at times because I feel like I have nothing to say on Sky matches beyond like, it was okay. Maybe I was just in a good mood. I don't know. I thought this was like actually quite good. I thought this was the best Sky Blue. Maybe I'm wrong. I thought this was the best Sky Blue match.
No, I agree completely.
Okay, good. I was wondering because I saw that our friends at Cage Match were not so thrilled, so I wondered if I was just going insane. I thought they did a good job here. And I think you're starting to see Sky like find a kind of route of how she should wrestle with as this character in this role, which is encouraging, right? Like I thought this was positive. I mean, I think we all want Chris to be winning these matches, but they're clearly doing something with Stoke, and that's fine. Yeah. So I was, I like this. Oh, I'm glad you did too. Any kind of thoughts beyond just it was good? What do you reckon?
They're just flat out. There aren't many women's wrestlers out there that I rate more than Chris Statlander. She is outstanding.
Yes.
I just love her so much as a professional wrestler. Just wanted to shout her out. Sky Blue did her job here. It was an enjoyable match. Like when I'm not gonna lie to y'all, when she's on the match graphic, I'm not really thrilled. Like I don't get excited. I don't think she's a drizzling shits or anything like that. But she's just not somebody that enjoy watching more often than that. But to see that she's able to go out there and have a performance like this, it's an encouraging sign because obviously AEW rates her highly. They want her to be a big player in the division in the future. So I want it to work out, and this is a positive step in the right direction. I hope we get more of this.
Yeah, I'm glad you focused on stat there too, because it's always easy to take for granted someone who's that consistent, right? I think she's got to be one of the most reliable TV wrestlers they have, and it's not always in the way where you're getting matches that are like, things that are going to be brought up at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
When she's in there, the show is better for it, right? She always
Right.
brings it, always does tremendously well. Charlie, what did you make of this Sky Blue Statlander match?
I think, like, sticking on Statlander real quick, as much as people praise her quite regularly, I think she's quite underrated in
I
AEW.
agree.
Like,
Yeah.
I feel like she does not get the credit she deserves for being how good she is, considering she's come back from 2 major knee injuries in quite a short span of time. Like, AEW has existed for 5 years, and both of those knee injuries happened in AEW. So she's come back from both of those and still wrestling like as good, if not better, than she was before she was injured. Like, she is an incredible talent, and I think she is someone that should be considered for the world title, the women's world title at some point, because she is someone that could be the face of that division. The crowd loves her. Everyone always gets behind Chris Stat. And yeah, man, she's one of my favorite women's wrestlers, so I'm always happy to see her wrestling.
Yeah.
And I think Sky Blue's really starting to put it together now, like you were saying. Like, this was a really encouraging performance. Because sometimes when Sky Blue gets in the ring, there's just kind of move, close and stretch. And it's like, well, you wrestled, like, you did something in the ring.
Yeah.
But, like, she's definitely, like, got more of a flow to what she's doing now. And she's linking it all together a bit more. I was really encouraged by this. So, yeah, man, I thought this was a good bit of business on Dynamite.
Yeah,
Chris Statlander women's world title thing. I'm starting that.
I just want to say, if I don't know what is up with Julia Hart medically, but obviously she's out with something. I don't know what AEW thought her prognosis would be, but if they knew she was going to be out an entire pay-per-view cycle and potentially longer, they should have got that fucking belt off her, man. Like, I don't know why she's just walking around TBS champion, can't wrestle, is still holding on to the belt. It's not like her character needs to be champion of anything for it to work.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah. Absolutely. As for Stat as women's world champ, hot take, I think her and Mercedes Moné could be a pretty good match.
I was just gonna say that. You say Chris Statlander and Athena, my only two options for people that could take the belt off Mercedes for her eventual reign.
Oh, I've got Jamie Hayter penciled in to do that at Wembley, I'm afraid.
Jamie's another one.
That is a quartet though at the top of your women's division.
Yeah. I would book my division
that's as good as anybody else's top 4.
Yeah.
When you have those 4, like
Stat and Athena as a match in itself is like, my God. That'd be dynamite. So yeah, absolutely. There's as we've said a lot, there's some pieces there. It's a matter of like committing, and I think we've seen them improve in that regard. So hopefully Mercedes is the piece that puts them over the top, but we shall see. Folks, we're into our kind of final couple segments here. So again, like, subscribe, super chats, all those good things. You have a question, maybe you have an individual take on this Dynamite Revolution, whatever it may be, feel free to support Charlie's Greensboro adventure via super chat. All right, this next match was an adventure. Atlantis Jr. versus Chris Jericho. So I hear the reaction, and I think I agree. But this was a weird match in that they wrestled to like absolute silence for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And then at one point, Huntsville decided it was awesome.
Yeah.
And sort of
I've given a negative opinion about this match pretty much the entire time we've been on air. But if you ask me what I actually think, I think it was a pretty solid match. I just think that, like, when you factor in things like the state of Chris Jericho right now and the complete silence that they wrestled to in the beginning of the match, like, it was a miserable first 5 or so minutes watching that. And it's not even because like the work was just like god awful, but like Jericho trying to take those monkey flips, like you could being able to hear a pin drop in the arena after the crowd was pretty good for the majority of the night. Like that was a crazy viewing experience, bro.
Yeah, I would agree. And I didn't think the match was like terrible, but it has to be said, if you just Chris's performance in particular was not, it was not the performance to kind of silence any doubts in terms of what he has
Yeah.
left, right? I think we're seeing this more and more. I also think that because he's kind of, he isn't as over as he used to be, and frankly, with the smaller houses, you take the party atmosphere of yesteryear away from Chris, and I do think you also start to see some of the limitations there, right? Like,
Right.
it's different. So, yeah, I don't know, Charlie. What did you make of this match? It was a unique one, I think.
I was baffled by a lot of it. I'm like, Chris Jericho, bro, you gotta let it go. You cannot be wrestling the way that Atlantis Jr. it was wrestling in that match. Like, as you said, like some of the stuff he was trying to take, it just wasn't good. Like the crowd coming up like towards the end was like saved the match genuinely, because I was watching on the watch along and I was like, bro, I can't focus on this. Like I genuinely like there was nothing about the match that was drawing me in, which is really unfortunate because I think Atlantis Jr. is actually pretty good, to be honest. Like I think
Mhm.
he's got loads of potential. But yeah, man, this was a Jericho. Like I get why it was Jericho in this match, but sometimes you gotta book to people's strengths, and this was not one of those times that they did that. So the finish did make me laugh though, where Atlantis Senior just threw in the towel. It was just like, yeah, that's enough. Whatever. He's not tapping. I'll throw in the towel. It's fine.
Yeah,
But
it
that
was.
did pop me.
Yeah, it was. Again, he's just in a really weird spot. Honestly, he's rolling the promotion. It feels like it needs a reset entirely at this point. There's definitely. I mean, again, I think matchmaking. I understand why he wanted to do this match, and I get that it meant something to him. That's cool and all, but like, he's wrestling a young luchador. When at this point your game is best served to just kind of whacking guys and being a rough veteran.
Yes.
Just a strange fit. We were talking about this before we went live, right? Like it's like some of these matches. It's fine. It's like he's actively finding guys that expose his limitations. It's so strange. Yeah, I don't know.
Like, and
Any first go for it, mate.
people complain about Jericho going over. Jericho was never gonna lose that fucking match.
No.
Atlantis is a pushed young guy in CMLL, but like he loses. Like he loses as much as he wins. So he was never gonna come here
Oh, yeah.
and beat Chris Jericho. I think the real issue is because of the match that they had. Was it fair? Was it a fair showcase of his abilities? I don't think that's necessarily true. We all watch CMLL here to a varying degree. None of us are like super fans,
Right.
but we do check out the promotion. I've seen him have much better performances than that. If I've never seen any CMLL matches before, if I watch that, am I like, oh my god, I gotta check this kid out in his home promotion? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'm like, oh, that was okay for what it was, and then I'm just gonna move on. But yeah, so
Yeah.
I think not being able to leave there with I need to go check this kid out feeling is a failure.
Yes.
Agree. Because I'm with you. I think it was never in doubt he was going over, but it would have been nice if he could have got himself over in the match. This was not the
Right.
matchup for that, unfortunately. They also struggled for like a clear direction to take the match in terms of who was the babyface and who was the heel, right? Like they kind of flirted with both, and in the end, just sort of
Yeah, I
had
saw
like a
I
middle
saw
ground.
I saw Atlantis Senior choking out Jericho with a towel, and I was
Yeah.
like, wait a minute, did I miss something?
Yeah,
Like,
and
what's
that
going
came.
on?
That was like 2 minutes after Chris was like ripping at his mask. Atlantis Jr.'s
Yeah, I was
mask.
like, what's going on here, bro?
Yeah.
It was a very strange match.
So I guess this is the best time as any to discuss this. We don't have to do it for long because I know there's not really a great answer. But so on Sunday, Chris is in the All Star Scramble,
Right.
and we assume. Well, I'm going to assume. I'm not going to put words in your mouth. I'm assuming he's not winning that. I'm going to assume. I could be wrong, but I'm assuming. What does one actually do with Chris Jericho beyond Revolution? What is the direction? What is the role? Charlie, you mentioned earlier the kind of like a novelty thing, right? Like matches that make historical sense. Is that about all you see for him, Charlie, at this point, or do you think there is ever a road back to being? Let's be real. There's been times he was a featured part, the centerpiece of this show. At times,
Yeah.
do you think that's just in the past at this point, Chuck?
I think there's so much Jericho fatigue at the moment. People
Yeah,
don't want to be seeing him. So I think just putting him in the role of like, even if it isn't a match that necessarily has like historical context, they just want to book Jericho in like a big spot every like 2 months. Like that's kind of whatever. Like they're always going to do something like that as long as Jericho's wrestling. But having him be a featured part of the weekly TV is just a really bad idea right now. Because your roster's so stacked. It's not 2020 anymore. He's not like one of the guys on the roster anymore.
Right.
Like, and it happens to everyone eventually, man. Like Jericho's had an incredible career. Like, whether you think he's great at the moment or not, like what he's done for the promotion up to this point can't be argued.
Yeah.
But like, there comes a time where you can't be doing that on a weekly basis because he's not like, as you were saying, like the in-ring erosion that Jericho's gone through in like the past 6 months especially, like it's kind of crazy. Like, I don't know, man. I just don't need to be seeing him on TV like as frequently anymore. If like once every couple of months is fine.
Right, it can happen quick though, right? Like history's kind of taught us that, and it can be the same in sports. It certainly can be the same in sports, where it's like, I think we're more and more seeing, and this is not to say he didn't have good match in 2023, because he certainly had a couple. But I do think we're more and more seeing that Ring of Honor title reign was like pretty much like the last. Yeah, and that's just kind of how it goes. How old was he at that point? 51? Like, I mean, it is hard to be surprised. AO, anything to add in terms of the role of Jericho, or is it kind of is what it is?
I think no matter how spiteful or not spiteful you feel about Jericho at this point, I think everybody acknowledges that he needs to go away for a little bit. Yeah. I think if he just fucked off and then came back for like a Roddy title defense, it would be well received. Like they definitely have a good match. Jericho get together, like whatever he needs to get together. Like the way that his like weight just fluctuates is insane too, bro. And like, and it's not like he's not like the type of guy that can like just gain 15 pounds and his work is his work. It's like, no, bro, like it clearly limits him. So
you can tell he's been on tour.
Yeah. So he needs a break. No matter what they do with Jericho, he needs to get off TV for a while.
Yeah, I think that's the first step, right? Just let everyone, just for a moment, if possible, let people miss him.
Yeah, let people
then
miss
reassess.
Him.
Yeah,
learn a new hold. Get back in the MMA, the MMA gym that you learned the Judas Effect in.
Yeah, try and learn the spinning back kick. You can't have any name for that. Right? Imagine Excalibur putting that over. He's been working on this in private for like 5 years. The idea is,
oh dear,
bro, his second spinning back kick, his knee's gonna implode, bro.
The actual Jericho thing would be it's a spinning back fist, and it has like, you know, he does it the Hurricane basically, and he has a slight variation on the name. It's a new Fozzy song or whatever the fuck, but
and then he bans Eddie from doing the fucking Hurricane.
Of course, yeah, they could run back their feud, with it. Oh my god, he could win the Triple Crown. Anyway, all right, I'm giving him ideas. Chris, do not listen to us. We're just talking here. All right.
Yeah, Chris, if you're listening, erase that from your memory.
Yeah, absolutely. Closing segment, and I think the thing that was the big talking point coming out of the show, right? This was the visual was the thing here. Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, our EVPs, came out, and they were, you know, the Sting masks were all over the front row, and they were kind of looking for Sting. They were continuing that chase, and Darby emerged behind one of the masks, jumped them. They did some physicality, and they just beat the hell out of Darby. Right? They hit him with their finish. That was, and at this point, I'm already laughing because it's like Sting is about to come out, but he has waited until Darby has been obliterated by this finish, which honestly is believable because Darby is. The idea of the Darby Allin character, I could buy that he's like, oh, whatever, you know, I'll wake up, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Then Ric Flair's music hits. And as we discussed earlier, this fascinated me. So this was Ric's plan, I guess, was like this. Was he was gonna, the swerve was gonna be here, like not the match. Like, all right, I guess. So he comes down and he does the physicality we referenced earlier, which was very funny and very unfortunate. And he gets low blowed and they're putting the boots to Rick, and then Sting's music hits. And I think you could kind of start piecing together what they were going to do here, I think, right? Like it felt like something they would want to do. It's such an iconic Sting moment and so on and so forth. So Buck's got the ramp and then down comes Sting. And even though I was like half expecting at that point because they'd made us wait so long, it still got this like raw, visceral reaction from me because it's just what a image that will always be, right? And the memories that come with that, and the history that comes with that. And Sting and Darby then kicked ass to close the show and had like a triumphant moment before Revolution, which I think was necessary, especially if indeed the titles are switching on Sunday. Like giving them like a moment kind of to shine here before the show, I think was necessary. So
Oh, that motherfucker's laying down Sunday.
I think so. And I think that's going to be like an actual, and that's going to be pretty powerful. I think he's going to have this like last show of defiance, It's going to be really cool, I think. So that was the closing segment, and it's a very, very special one. Charlie, what did you make of the end to Dynamite?
Darby doing like the spot in the crowd where he's got the Sting mask on and then he takes it off and it's him. That made me pop quite a bit, because like obviously that's quite a classic Sting thing to do. Like he takes a mask off and reveals his own face paint sort of thing. But I'm just not going to talk about the Ric Flair thing, because we've already talked about it. People know how I feel about Ric Flair. Like, but the visual of Sting coming down on the wire, like, it got me emotional on the watch along. I was just like, oh my god, this is probably the last time he's ever going to do that. And like, is he okay? He's like 64, like being fucking suspended from the roof. But that was an incredible visual. Like, and the Bucks sold it so well as well. Like, they're so dramatic in their facial expressions. Like, I keep saying it, but they were really the perfect people for this. Like, this type of last feud for Sting. And yeah, man, like the visual of like Sting and Darby being triumphant at the end of Dynamite, Sting's last Dynamite. It was a great moment to go out on, and like I said, it's got me even more pumped up for the match at Revolution. I think it's going to be something really, really special. I'm very, very excited.
Yeah, because if they were going to do this for the go home, they've got some stuff up their sleeve for this presentation. I think they're going to go big with this, and as they should. I think, we've discussed in the past, pomp and circumstance isn't necessarily Tony's strong suit. He loves Sting. I think he'll try and nail this particular one, and I'm very excited for that. What did you make of the final segment of Dynamite?
That was awesome, bro. That was Darby got the shit kicked out of him. The Sting spot was cool with the flipping the mask over. Fucking Flair comes out. I'm looking at him because I was like, my goats aren't gonna align themselves with this freak. And then they sold for his punches and his shots a little bit, and then Matt just punched that old perverted motherfucker's cock right off, brother. Just punched it right off. And then the beatdown to him was so funny, bro. Like, go back and watch Flair selling. But when I don't remember if it was Matt or Nick, but they had like their boot on his face. And they're like doing the rope spot and shit.
Yeah, it
was
Matt.
You're stomping somebody out. Ric Flair just laying on the ground like a dying old man.
The state of him,
bro.
dude.
It was so funny. But yeah, so they make their ways up the ramp. And I did not see him coming down from the rafters, bro. Like, I never envisioned that happening. I didn't think it was gonna happen. And so I didn't, obviously it wasn't gonna come from the front. Like, Sting rarely does. But I was just like, all right, so how's this gonna happen? How's this gonna happen?
Mm-hmm.
My jaw literally dropped when he descended from the rafters, bro. Rafters. I felt like a little kid watching that shit. It was so dope. Him and Darby being able to stand tall on his last Dynamite, it was a great moment. But right is right and wrong is wrong. And a legend like Sting, he knows. He knows. You go out of this business on your back, brother. He's not a carny freak like the Undertaker, who's got to go over on a main event guy on his way out of the business. AJ Styles still ain't recovering from that. You feel me? Ruined that man's life. AJ can't sleep well. You thought he was in this for the money, Joe? He's in this for the gold, the championships, and he hasn't been there since. All right. And Sting is gonna do the right thing. He's gonna go out on his back. My EVPs they're not gonna stand tall. They're definitely gonna get beat down and like run to the back with the titles or whatever. And then Sting and Darby have their moment, but they will be champions again, and they will make the AEW World Tag Team division great again. Word to Donald Trump.
Brief detour. Speaking of Trump, brief detour. AJ Styles. No, I don't usually do this, but I have to bring this up because I don't know if you saw. Did you see the tweet today involving 2014 AJ Styles? Did anyone see this?
No, I did not.
Okay, I don't think it's a bad account, so God bless him. We all have our errors. Someone tweeted today, who's better, 2014 AJ Styles or 2015 Seth freaking Rollins.
Oh my god.
Oh my
And
god.
I hurled my phone. I threw it out the window. I said, enough.
Oh my god.
We've gone too far. What has happened?
The fuck, bro?
2014 AJ.
Styles.
A godly, all-time great pro wrestler. I mean, look, we have our fun with Seth Rollins. He was a good wrestler.
We're comparing him to Seth freaking?
He's
What are we
crazy.
doing here?
That's
I
like
almost
the
DM'd it to
resident
you.
not Seth hater on this current panel. What
Yeah.
the fuck is that comparison?
Yeah. And again, I think I don't think it's a bad account or anything, but like we got 2014 AJ Styles. You can't just throw that around, right? You gotta.
That's a
save
man
that
that's
for the
never
big
watched his New Japan stuff. That is a person that was not tapped into wrestling outside of WWE. Because, bro, what are you talking about?
You
Hey,
guys
man.
know me. I'm pretty Twitter. I can just scroll on most time. I saw that. I
Yeah.
said, "Well, hold on." Go.
I just won't stand for this. Look,
Sometimes you gotta put the foot down.
look, wrestling is it's very subjective.
Yeah.
A lot of times people just see what they want to see. But God bless Seth Rollins fans, I guess.
Yeah. To
God
quote
bless
you,
you.
right is wrong,
God-
and wrong is wrong. Right is right, and wrong is wrong. I should say. Right is wrong. That doesn't work. All right, folks, we've reviewed the Dynamite. It was a good show. We all left it more excited for Revolution. We even slid in some Seth Rollins slander at the end. Sorry, Charlie. I apologize for that. I'll pay you back with a Kip Sabian segment within the next year. You owe me one.
Nice.
All right. Do we have any plugs and promotions? I know we do, Charlie. You already mentioned your feature, but please do give it the hard sell once more.
Okay, so a feature went up on the WrestlePurists website today about Sting and just my fandom of Sting, to be honest, and about how I've perceived his run in AEW. I kind of talked about how Sting's talked about in my house, because if you don't know, I grew up in a family that have always watched wrestling, and like how he was introduced to me as a wrestler, and why I've always respected Sting as a legend, because he's someone that my dad was always like, this guy gets it. So I talk about that in the feature. I talk about my favorite moments from his AEW run, and like just how I feel about like the Magic in Greensboro and how it's like affected my fandom in wrestling. So it's on the WrestlePurists page. Please go read it. I'm quite proud of it, because it was just kind of me like being very candid about wrestling, which I do a lot on these podcasts anyways, but never really in written form. So it was a fun one to do.
It's always a big deal when the Charlie of WrestlePurists and Great Britain feature drops. You know, it's always a big. They actually, I don't know if you know this, but they actually run it as like a national news story when it happens.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, it was on. I had the news on, and it came up. Charlie has posted a feature from WrestlePurists. I said, "Jesus wept."
The fucking kings over there in Buckingham Palace reading up on Sting.
Yeah, just figuring it out, learning, figuring out the game. But yes, absolutely. Everyone, please do go check that out. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to have a preview on this very channel at some point for Revolution when we go, match by match. I'll bust out the yellow fucking notepad and start booking finishes. I'll be ready to go for that. But Ayo, I think with that, it's up to yourself, mate. Any plugs, and then feel free to take us home. Go for it.
What is today? Wednesday, Thursday. We don't do anything. Friday.
Today is Thursday.
Oh yeah, today is Thursday. Very high. I'm sorry. Oh, Friday we don't do anything. Saturday. Saturday we might. It is what it is. Saturday we might have a Collision watch along. Sunday we have a Collision pre-show. I'll probably show up for that. Collision pre-show, and then we'll definitely have a Collision watch along. Chuck might pop in live with some on-site reporting.
Yeah,
some on-site reporting. She might pop in. Lexi might pop in as well.
All the girlies gonna be in Revolution.
That's it. I'm really excited for Revolution. Thank y'all for coming out, supporting the show. Joe, you want to sign us off?
I will do what Monty will tell me to do if I don't, which is like and subscribe. And
like and subscribe.
Please leave a comment as well.
Like, subscribe, leave a comment. Yes, leave a comment. Good call. Yes. Absolutely. But otherwise, we'll see you on the next one, folks.